Informations given in this video are given in English language. If the states of depression and blissfulness needs to be completely understood by the viewer, then please have the patience and please do watch this video till the end, as knowledge and information can only be gained within the boundary of patience. And when a human being gains information and knowledge, that's when he gains benefit for himself too. Before starting the video, please do accept the Fateh ji. वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह.
Now, coming down to depression, what is depression? And how does a human lose his memory as well as the working percentage goes down? Because this was the information about conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind, which was very, very important to understand the state of depression fully. Now, the base of depression resides in a mind roaming around the past and the future tense in a vast way. Mind roams around, if the mind roams around in the past and the future tense, that means the mind is very much unstable. The mind stable is when the mind resides in the present tense, or mind is stable in the present tense. That's what the stability of mind is. Now, there are 24/7 emotions going on in the human mind, because of which the human mind is working on a continuous basis. Because the human mind is working on a continuous basis due to emotions, the body is also working on a continuous basis. Like the hand movements, the leg movements, the eyelid movements, as well as whatever kind of body movements are done on a daily basis by a human being. It's just due to the emotions are working on the background of it. Now, there are three emotions which work in the state of depression, due to which the mind roams around the past and the future tense in a vast way, and it is not stabilized in the present tense. Those emotions are udasi, chinta, as well as moh. Moh means external attachment or external love. Udasi means being lonely or being with one's own self, and chinta means overthinking. Now, this overthinking is a negative masculine quality, and udasi, being feeling like being lonely, is a negative masculine quality, and external attachment or external love is a negative feminine quality. Now, we won't go into these details that why are these emotions negative and masculine and feminine. Now, what happens in the state of depression? When a person is externally attached, emotionally attached to some other kind of external love, like for an example, he is externally attached to his money, or externally attached to a daughter or a son or a mother or a father, any kind of blood relationship, or any kind of external love like money, or anything external love. Once he loses that external love, that external attachment and external love causes grief. Now, this is the base of depression. That grief is the effect of external attachment. Due to this external grief, he starts going into depression. The first stage of depression is which is born through this external love is udasi, also known as being with one's own self or being lonely. In the state of loneliness, a person never would feel like being with anyone, speaking with anyone. If somebody comes to him, he would feel like to let him be alone. This is a state of loneliness. This is also known as udasi. And this state of mind makes that particular person to overthink, which is known as chinta or overthinking. Now, this overthinking is the major cause of depression, because this overthinking makes the mind roam around the past and the future tense. Now, as said, that it's the feeling which causes such kind of grief. What is a feeling? It's the emotion which are felt. So that is why emotion is the feeling. Like external love, it's a feeling because it's an emotion, internal emotion. Though that internal emotion is not adjoined internally, it is not adjoined internally, it is not internal love. That is why it is adjoined externally. If the love is joined internally, that same love will give you blissfulness, but it will take you above the state of happiness and sadness both. Blissfulness takes the human above the status of sadness and happiness. At the same time, when it is connected externally, then the love is external, it will give you happiness as well as sadness, which is known as grief. For a person who is into depression, he would like to stay lonely, because of which his mind roams around the past and the future tense in a vast way. Because his mind is roaming around the past and the future tense, connected only to that grief. Not that existence of that grief is just because a particular kind of an external love which has been lost, and that particular human being is just thinking about that particular grief, because of which his mind is roaming around the past and the future tense. Now, what is the base of meditation? The base of meditation is stopping the mind from roaming around the past and the future tense and stabilizing it in the present tense. That is why this is what is mind stability is. Now, when a person's mind roams around the past and the future tense, just held on to that grief. First we need to know that where does the memory reside. Memory always resides in the past tense. What is memory? The things which we had seen, which we had heard, which we had smelled, tasted and touched. The term or the word had is used for past tense, because of which we can say that the memory resides in the past tense, because whatever we had seen, it was in the past. So that is why that memory resides in the past tense. So whatever memory resides in the mind is actually residing in the past tense. Now this past tense is the one which recreates the future, reimages the future tense. Now this is what causes the anxiety as well, but this is not a topic for the day. It's only depression. Anxiety is just the effect of depression. The cause is depression and its effect is anxiety. Though both these effects are born almost simultaneously, but still a bit of difference, because the future is recreated by the past. The mind itself creates or reimages the future, which is actually a myth. The human does not know about the future tense consciously, and neither does he has the capability to change his past tense, but still he thinks about the past and the future tense, though he does not have the capability to change them consciously. Now, when the mind roams around the past and the future tense in the vast way, stuck only to the grief, this emotion is only stuck to the grief, because of which he starts to lose that part of the memory which he needs to remember by connecting it with the senses of the body, or either connecting it with the emotions in him. Because it is not connected to the emotions, as well as those information are not connected to the senses on a daily basis, due to overthinking about just the grief, he starts to forget those part of the memory, or he starts to forget that particular part of informations, because of which the conscious memory or the conscious mind starts converting into the subconscious mind or the subconscious memory. As said, the human being forgets that part of the memory just because the mind is roaming around the past and the future tense, stuck to the grief. And rest of the information which can give him happiness, which can move him forward in his life, that information has been forgotten because his emotions are not connected to that information. It is just connected to the grief, because of which he loses his memory. If he loses his memory and information, and thus information goes and resides in the subconscious mind, then less the information will be provided from the conscious mind to the brain. If less information is provided to the brain, the working percentage of the brain will drop down. Why is the working percentage dropping down? Just because the human is forgetting those memories which can give him happiness. His emotions are just stuck to the grief. As said, external love can give a human being happiness as well as sadness. But when this love gets connected internally, the spiritual being or human being moves above the state of happiness and sadness. Thus, there is no grief at all. At the same time, there is no happiness, but there is a much more superior state of mind which is known as blissfulness for a spiritual being. Now, this is how exactly depression happens. The mind roams around the past and the future tense, stuck to the grief, and his emotions is also stuck to the grief, because of which such kind of information which needs to get connected to the emotions as well as the external senses, due to his disconnection, that memory converts into subconscious mind. The human being forgets that part of the memory. Now, because of which the working percentage of the brain drops down. Now, what is the base of meditation? As said, the base of meditation is stopping the mind from roaming around the past and the future tense. And what is depression? Depression is nothing but the base of depression is mind roaming around the past and the future tense. So, what is the base of the complication, which is known as depression? The base is mind roaming around the past and the future tense. And what is the base of meditation? The base of meditation is nothing but stopping the mind from roaming around the past and the future tense and stabilizing it in the present tense. When the mind gets stabilized, now we have to know that more the mind instability, then weaker the memory. That means more the human being will forget informations. More the mind stability, then more stronger the memory. More stronger the memory, then the human being will not forget those information because his memory is very very strong. Thus, the percentage of his conscious mind is very very high. Then if his percentage of his conscious mind is high, then more information will be provided for the brain. If the more information is provided to the brain, then the working percentage of the brain will increase. If the working percentage of the brain increases, the working percentage of the body will also increase consciously. That means the conscious body movements will happen in a conscious way. Now, if the complication is mind roaming around the past and the future tense, then the resolution is nothing but mind stabilizing in the present tense, which can only and only happen through meditation. So the only resolution for this complication is meditation. There is no other permanent resolution. For an example, as said, if the problem resides in the roots, if the complication resides in the roots, then the resolution also resides in the roots. If the information is given from the base of the resolution, then that resolution would work. But if the information is not from the base, but only basic information, then that information won't work. As said that it's like axing the leaves of the poisonous tree. The poisonous tree is depression, and the base of this poisonous tree is its roots. The root of this problem is mind roaming around the past and the future tense. Then what is the resolution? The resolution is mind stability, which can only happen through meditation. Now, such kind of information like motivational speeches, or psychiatric treatment, psychological treatment. This does help, but on a maximum way, it is like axing the leaves of this poisonous tree. What does happen when a leaf is axed out from a poisonous tree? It will again grow back, just because the power of the tree resides in the roots. We have to get rid of the roots in order to get rid of this poisonous tree. And getting rid of this poisonous tree, which is mentioned as depression, can only happen through meditation, because the base of depression is the mind roaming around the past and the future tense, and the base of meditation is mind stabilizing the present tense. The mind stabilizes in the present tense, memory will grow, more information provided to the brain and the body, and thus you can say that even in the states of awakening or enlightenment, the unconscious mind gains consciousness, which is which where the information of the past reincarnations reside. As said, what is the difference between conscious, subconscious, and the unconscious mind? So this is the base of depression, the mind roaming around the past and the future tense in a vast way, because of which memory loss happens, because it's the external love or the emotions is only stuck to the grief, because of which rest of the memory is forgotten by the human being, which can giving happiness, as well as the human being would like to stay lonely, and thus would not like to be connected to his friends, relatives, and anybody, and would like to overthink. Now the signs for memory loss, just because of overthinking than the external love, just stuck with the grief, is like the person will start forgetting the things to do or words to speak, would literally start forgetting the words to write down or work to do. These are the signs of a person who is going through depression and thus is going through memory loss. This too happen. These are the signs of a person who is into extreme amount of depression, as well as a person whose mind is unstable and the mind is roaming around the past and the future tense. This is due to chinta, which is known as overthinking. There is one more extreme amount of udasi, which is being the meaning is being with one's own self or being lonely, is that the person starts to speak with his own self. It's just because a kind of a dual personality takes birth into him, or it should be said dual personality is always there in a human being. It's just that the other part of the dual personality is not strong enough. But in this state of mind, in the state of being with one's own self, a person starts to speak with his own self, because the other side of the dual personality becomes equally strong enough to the first personality, because of which a person starts to speak with his own self. So these are two signs of extreme state of depression. If like the video, please do give a like, subscribe, press the notification button, give a comment in the comment section for motivational purposes. If said anything wrong, would ask for forgiveness. Please do accept the Fateh ji. Wahe Guru ji ka Khalsa, Wahe Guru ji ki Fateh.